you just got to roll with the punches and you figure it out and you change with the times and you change with all the rules and regulations and Dodd-Frank. And I know a lot of people in my industry freaked out when they had to get licensing, which was a fantastic thing, to make sure that people were much more educated on the subject and in the industry. So I guess my biggest thing is just you roll with it.
Today's podcast guest is April Ranallo with Guaranteed Rate. She is a Minnesota born, but she lived in Chicago for 10 years and came back to Minnesota. She is in mortgages and can do mortgages all 50 states. Matter of fact, I see her traveling all over the country, and she's working wherever she's traveling, and she's working from home or she's working in her office, but she's always able to help your needs in mortgage. We talk about a lot of things because she's been in the business for since 1999, and she talked about subprime, talked about the recession, talked about the current coronavirus crisis and what it could mean to your mortgage, to your rates, and how you get a loan. She said, don't panic until I panic. So just trust. Trust is the key to all things. And she gave us a really good tip. And the tip was, she said, I wish I had done this when I was first starting. It took me a little while to learn it. But the tip was to always be managing a customer database, to always be putting people in it, communicating with people in it, and managing that database. Listen to today's podcast for even more amazing, great tips about mortgages and such an amazing person with April Ranallo.
My name's Travis Sims, and I am the founder and CEO of AGC Accelerated Global Connections. And this is the AGC Experience.
Banner season. It's about mailboxes, not inboxes. Building better relationships has never been easier. Using our platform, you can easily send a card and personalized gift to anyone with a simple tap or click. Or fully automated. Stop the digital overload and do something that will mean so much more. Banner season is the easiest way to wow people and the way for you to really get their attention. Develop stronger relationships, increase revenue, and improve your retention. You know you've reached an entirely new level when you inspire customer referrals and you don't have to consistently ask for them. For more information, contact Bo Young at 320-249-1576 or go to betterappreciation.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to have April Ranallo on the AGC Experience podcast. I've known April for a while now. We've done some networking together and became an AGC member and just a super awesome. We've rode motorcycles together, which is really cool. One of my favorite things to do when I'm not doing this podcast. And so, April, you are with Guaranteed Rate, which is a mortgage company. And I'd love for you to tell our audience that's never met you just a little bit about you.
So I have been in mortgages since 1999, which is, 20-something years now. I started off in the subprime business, which was the big boohoo back then. And then I kind of worked my way through banks, lenders, brokers. So I have been everywhere and seen it all as far as residential mortgages go. Other than that, like you said, ride motorcycles and try to go out and be social when we can.
Yes. You know, for those of you that are watching or you're listening at home, first of all, thank you for being on the podcast today and joining us here for the AGC Experience. If you're watching the podcast, you already know this. But if you're listening, you're going, you might not know this. And that is, April, you do not look old enough to have been doing mortgages since 1999. I would have never guessed that year for you.
Yes, I used to say that I didn't get married when I was young and dumb. I got into mortgages. So I was pretty young, been in it for a really long time. But I think that's actually a positive because I've been able to see everything so that I can be the best help to my clients when it comes to problem solving.
Yes. You know, I want to lead on that because since you have that level of experience, we're talking 1999 and you mentioned subprime and then And then if you fast forwarded to like 2007, 2008, then you've got recession time. And now currently we're going through the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis right now across the country and across the world. And you've seen a lot in mortgages. First of all, uh, what do you, I mean, because people don't always stay in the same profession. They come, they try something, they go to something else. What has been the success for your longevity in this and getting through some of those trivial times?
I would say, I mean, I've stayed in it forever just because I'm a big people person. So it's a great industry where I get to utilize my love for numbers, love for people. Like I said, I'm social. It's ironically kind of a social job. But as far as the ups and downs is you just got to roll with the punches and you figure it out and you change with the times and you change with all the rules and regulations and Dodd-Frank. And I know a lot of people in my industry freaked out when they had to get licensing, which was a fantastic thing, to make sure that people were much more educated on the subject and in the industry. So I guess my biggest thing is just you roll with it. But um, my biggest advice to people out there with all of these ups and downs, especially with COVID going out there, is you just need to have somebody that you can trust. I mean, I have got clients right now that literally I am locking loans in and telling them about it later. It's about advising clients, telling them the goods and bads. It's not just about a rate. There's so much more involved with helping somebody with their financials, especially the largest purchase of their life. And so I'm fortunate to have a lot of clients that trust me. So I never got out.
Yeah. I think you're hitting on a really important topic, and that is relationships and trust. And especially and you just said it, the largest purchase of your life. I'm on my second home, and I can't think of a more I don't know the word. It's not difficult, but it was a real tough time. I mean, my stress level was the highest at the moment that I was selling a home and buying a home and getting through all the hurdles. How do you keep your customers calm, especially because you got to share so many financials and you're always worried, am I gonna get the best rate? Am I going to, if I'm providing the right things, and am I gonna get denied for this reason or that reason? How do you keep them calm?
I tell them that they should not panic until I panic. Because I've done it for so long. Like it's stressful. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of personal information. And I'm going to be a broken record throughout this whole thing, but that's why the trust piece is so important. Because I've done it my whole life. I look at rates all day long, so if you stay calm, then typically it will help the client stay calm. And the communication piece is probably what I pride myself on the most, is that if you just let them know what's going on in layman's terms, not get all technical, it will help ease people throughout the transaction, has them coming back for a refinance down the road or refer their brother. That's obviously what's always the point, to make sure that they had such a great experience that they're happy to have their brother or their mother come talk to you.
Yeah.
So communication.
I couldn't agree more. And not that, and the last home I bought, I didn't know you at the time. And I worked with a mortgage person that I really didn't know. I was moving to an area here in Minnesota. I'd always lived in Indiana. I'd never lived in Minnesota. And I didn't know anyone coming here. And so I'm trying to do business with people that I've never met and have no relationship with. And the person, I don't think they did a bad job. It's just that there was little to no communication when it came from the mortgage person. I heard a lot from my realtor, but didn't hear a lot from my mortgage person. And I was always the one reaching out going, hey, is everything okay? What about this date? We're approaching this date and this and that. And that's when the market was just crazy. And I think it's still, or has been for quite a while now, for the last 2 years. So I can't agree more that communication is an important
more like the last 10 years.
The last 10 years. Yeah. So I'm curious too, with the customers that you work with, And I think we go through phases in life. Like you have that starter home, then you have, I'm have an expanding family home. Now I'm ready to downsize my home, or I'm ready to buy a cabin or a vacation home and things. 1999, have you had good longevity in maintaining your customers and seeing some of those cycles? And I mean, that's got to be the goal, right? Is keeping those people long term.
Yeah, actually, my biggest referral source is my past clients,
Okay.
and I did not even start a database or start marketing to a database until maybe 10 years ago. Like I said, I was young, I was new to the business, and the subprime industry did not exactly teach you great business skills. They taught you how to turn and burn them. It was a boiler room, right? It was a very different type of model where come 10 years later after the bubble, there's nothing but what we call A paper, or essentially like it's a typical FHA conventional loan. And that's when I started marketing to my database, keeping a database. So number one suggestion, make sure you always do that if you're a new business owner. And but because of that, it's been my biggest referral source, which I think is also a testament, hopefully at least, to them trusting me and making sure that I did right by them, which is great. And because my industry is a lot of paperwork, I'm able to do it nationwide. I lend in all 50 states. I can help with investment properties, primary homes, like you said, anywhere from the first time home buyer who needs a down payment assistance program all the way up to someone that's buying a large home in Minnetonka. And so it's, when people are referring, they can refer me anybody as long as it's a residential deal and I would have something that would help fit them.
Yeah. I met you in Minnesota, and although I know that's not where you always lived, and you mentioned that you do work in all 50 states. We're connected on social media. I saw like, hey, I'm hanging out in Florida, and you spent some time there, but business went on for you, right? I mean, you were still handling mortgages even while in other states. Not every business has the luxury to be able to do that. So, what has your journey been from where you previously lived in Minnesota, and how you live your life when you travel?
So that's definitely the biggest perk of my job. I'm
Yeah.
super grateful. That's a piece of my job because I am a big traveler. But I, born and raised in Minnesota, was here until I was about 29, went to Chicago for a girls' weekend and drove back and was like, it was the greatest city ever. And I decided to pack up and move. In fact, I started working for Guaranteed Rates out of Chicago when I had moved there because that's where their corporate office is. And I was in Chicago for 10 years and people in Minnesota never moved. So I came back for family and then decided that the snowbirds didn't have as dumb of an idea as he thought they did. So I have a best friend who bought a house in Clearwater Beach and decided to skip the winter. So now I do a couple months down in Florida every year, and then I'm in Minnesota the majority of the time. But unbeknownst to what people think, I was not on vacation for 3 months. I was clearly working every single day, except for I can just work from a laptop and a phone. So I can be in Europe technically if I wanted to be, I guess.
Yeah. It's funny that people think that way. I just recently I went back to Indiana just to visit family over the weekend. Like I was there for 2 days, and I got back and people said, "How was your vacation?" I was like, "What are you talking about? I wasn't on vacation.
Yeah, right.
I went to see my family for 2 days, and I never left the hotel. I mean, everything happened right there at the hotel. So I wasn't on vacation, but they think anytime that you've left your home, you're on vacation. So it's very cool to talk to a professional that's able to travel and do business anywhere. So I'm curious too. Right now there are so many people with COVID-19 and coronavirus that are now shifting and moving and changing to, I have to work from home, or I'm without work. And what advice do you have from people working at home? Because I see you have a home office.
Yep.
I know that you have another office as well. and you've worked on vacation. How do you stay focused and working with your customers at your desk at home?
I would say the biggest thing, have some kind of a designated area. I obviously not everybody's going to used to having a stay or a home, God, excuse me, a home office, but maybe it's the kitchen table and you lock the kids in the basement. That's one thing that I don't have to worry about, which I feel for those that are trying to work from home while still having their kids there and entertaining them. But you have to kind of just learn who you are as a worker. Like, does it need to be quiet? When I'm at home, I don't have TVs on, I don't have music on. It's a big distraction. I am very much a sit here, work, and don't do anything. I don't do laundry and clean the kitchen or whatever in between. It's literally like I'm coming to work. I may stop and take a lunch break, but then I'm right back at it. That's just how I particularly work. I know that there's a lot of others that work from home where they do need those kinds of distractions to essentially help them focus. But yeah, that's probably my biggest thing is learning what your style is and just trying to mimic it at home as best as possible. Sitting on the couch in the living room with your laptop on your lap is not the way to work from home, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's great to have your own space, and
Mhm.
have an office to work in or work from the table. I am someone that likes a little bit of noise in the back. It helps me for whatever reason. I think it's just I'm such a social person that I want that little bit of something going on in the background. But I can certainly appreciate the focus that's created when those things are out of the way.
Yeah, I'm too
So
ADD. So it would not work. I'm already working in 3 different files at once, let alone hearing what the top
yeah,
40 is.
yeah, yeah. So I hate to ask you to predict, but what
Oh
do you
God.
think? I know, but it is the
Everyone get
hot
your own
topic.
crystal ball out because that's the best thing you can do.
Yes. Well, everybody wants to know, are my mortgages safe? And are we going? Are people still buying homes? Is your phone still ringing right
Yeah.
now? And people are they buying them because the rates are low, or what's happening with you in this moment? We're about 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, and our governor in Minnesota just stated that we're going to go to shelter in place beginning at midnight tonight. So I'm curious. I mean, are your phone's still ringing? Are people still doing mortgages?
Yeah. So here's kind of an update on everything in the industry, whether you're in a state that's in shelter in place or not, is purchase transactions have still been going on, but that may change a little bit in the next couple of weeks. But people have still been looking at homes. Contracts are still going into place, and I've had phone calls where people have asked me like, "Hey, can I still get a mortgage?" And absolutely, uh, guaranteed rate specifically, but the industry as a whole has turned a lot of the different things to be electronic already. Having said that, though, even the few other steps that go on that are not electronic, I am thoroughly impressed and shocked of how much it has just changed. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they have come out with new rules to try to help with COVA and, as least amount of contact as possible. So there's things that are being done about virtual appraisals. Typically an appraiser is going to
Oh,
go to a home,
yeah.
walk into the home, take their pictures, and then leave. Now they're doing it where they're setting it up with the client to FaceTime and have the client walk through the home and turn the faucet on, and the appraiser can take a picture through Facebook or Zoom or whatever it may be so that they can still have an appraisal done without having to actually go. There's a lot of individuals that are okay with one person walking in and then they're just being cautious with gloves and sanitizer and everything else.
Yeah.
The other big piece, mortgage wise, we're electronic. Applications are done electronically, documents are sent over electronic. That's all pretty much set and standard, anyways. But the closing, a lot of times you have a big group of people sitting around the table, everyone's
Yeah.
signing the paperwork, cheers and about swapping the homes. They're now changing to what's called e-closing. We have been doing it for quite a while on refinances, but it's starting to get rolled out with purchases as well, where a huge part of the package will be sent to them to electronically sign. And then they will actually either do a power of attorney to give the title rep the availability to sign the documents that need to be notarized, or they will do a Zoom call with a notary signing the form with their ID over over the internet, and then the package will get sent to the notary so the notary can put their stamp on it and finalize it that way. So there's a lot of things that have been done. So it is not stopping our industry at all, especially with rates being so low.
Yeah.
I mean, refinances are through the roof right now. I had a joke out there with the picture of Oprah that was like, you get a refinance, you get a
Oh, that's
refinance.
funny.
Because now is the time to check. A lot of people, you take out your insurance, right? How often do people shop their insurance for cars and homes? Probably not very often. Every month you just write the check to pay your mortgage. Do you even know what interest rate you have? I do mortgages for a long time and I couldn't even answer what rates I have on my own loans because I took them out and I had to look at my statements to pay attention to what I had. So if I don't know, I'm pretty sure the basic American population isn't going to know off the top of their heads. And then just my big thing I think that I really want to get out there is for people to just call and ask the questions.
Sure.
Yes, you got to be leery. Your servicers are going to call and try to sell you a mortgage, but that is why you want to talk to somebody that you know and that you trust, because I have a lot of phone calls. Sometimes I'll need to do the application to honestly take a look at the numbers to see if there's a benefit. There's other times I can just look at a couple key pieces of information and say, yeah, no, just stay with what you have. You're in a great spot. I wouldn't even worry about checking it. Or offering other suggestions. There's a lot of people right now with the rates so low that have a 30-year, maybe they've had it for 5 years, and they're going to 20-year loans, and they're able to keep the same payments. And cutting 5 years off a mortgage is like $30, $60, $110,000 of savings. It's massive on a long-term scale. But those situations are about having a conversation with the mortgage person and yourself of what's your goals? How long are you going to be in this home? Did you just have that baby and you don't like the school system? Or yes, it can work for now, but we're going to need to upsize, downsize in so many years so that you can get advised on what is great for you, because it is so much more than just the number. I have a lot of people, well, what's the rate? And rates are important, absolutely. But there's a lot more to it. If you want me to get you a t-shirt with a really cool rate on it so you can boast about it, great. But let's talk about what's financially the best, what's going to save you the most money and do the best for your family on a few different points. So
I love
my ramble.
No, that's okay. I love what you shared when you talked about maybe it's time to, if you're going to stay in the home, to refinance and to shorten the mortgage. Most people I think are they're stuck on like, well, I'm paying my bills and I'm writing that check every month, and you don't even think, hey, I could write the same amount of check and do it for less time. I mean, that's a brilliant move. I think everyone is always just focused on the payment, even if, like, and I know you're not in auto loans, but I mean, in auto sales, I have a friend that did auto sales for years, and he said we always sold to the payment, not to the cost of the car.
Right.
Because well, what kind of payment are you looking for? And they try to get you into the payment bracket that you wanted, as opposed to what did the car actually cost and how long will you be paying on it. So yeah, no, I think that's super, super smart. So
I think I have another thing that, I've seen a lot of recently is people have good equity. The market,
yeah,
what's a failure in my business? 2008. It was like huge bubble, right? So we've all, values have come back to where they would have naturally been anyways, even though we took a huge dip down and then we had to come back up. And so people have equity in their home. They're still kind of doing remodeling projects, but you have to look at the debt load. I am not a preacher of using your home as a cash machine, but I am a person who thinks that you can utilize your home to maybe reset, get a little do-over, so to speak. If you've racked up credit card debts because life is life, great. Then I have a situation right now where we're paying off some credit card debt, and it's saving them $1,000 a month in minimum payments on their credit cards. So yeah, they may go back and take a slightly higher rate, or maybe they do a 30-year in that case just to keep their mortgage payment manageable so they don't put themselves back in the same situation they just got into. But they can either take advantage of $1,000 of savings, or they could pay extra on a home and then just get it paid right back. So there's a lot of different ways to work it, depending on where you're at. But the key is to, I think, open your mindsets and think about outside the box. And once again, your trusted mortgage professional, that's why you have them. I'm not going to rip on the banks. The banks are fine. People trash Wells Fargo. I feel kind of bad sometimes. It's like, they're not the be all end all. It comes really down to the person that you are working with, so that they can give you suggestions, because you don't know what you don't know. Like, this is my expertise, right? I have no idea on a mechanic, right? I don't know how to fix a car. They could tell me I need a new engine in a 2018, and I would be like, okay. So I make sure I find a mechanic that I know I can trust and is going to do right by me and tell me what I need, or maybe just to watch out for something down the road. Mortgages are no different. You need to have that person that knows the details and can help you suggest other things that you may not think of.
Absolutely. Do you foresee, since we're talking about the refinancing and in this COVID-19 crisis, that you'll see a lot of people looking at, can they refinance coming out, because you might have had to take some time off of work. You might have incurred some bills during that time, and I think that home equity might be an answer to some of those things, especially if the rates stay the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you brought up a very valid point. Here is the education 101 for everybody. The Fed lowered the rate to 0. That's what everybody's heard, right? I got a million phone calls that they're like, April, rates are 0. I'm like, no, they're not. Not the same market. So first of all, the Fed lowered it, which lowered prime down to 3.5%. Fantastic, super low, amazing. Okay, it was great for the economy. Prime is going to affect small business loans and home equity lines of credit. So like second mortgages. It is not the same market that affects first mortgages. We are based on mortgage-backed securities in the bond market. Having said that, with all of the craziness that's been going on the last 3 weeks to a month, when the rates dropped down, the typical markets that even determined what our rates are based off of wasn't even controlling it. It was that rates went so low, there was so much volume in 1 week that the banks either stopped taking loans or they increased the rates super high to just pump the brakes to stop the volume. They didn't have room on wholesale lines, things like that. Since then, in the last couple of weeks, it's been up, it's been down, it's been all over the place, which is great. So those that have locked in, congratulations, be super happy about that. My concern is that now is the time to look into it, because people are going to get laid off, and when they do, if you're in the middle of a refinance, sorry, your loan's going to stop, but they're not going to keep going.
Yeah.
What else have I seen? The layoff. I'm not really concerned about values. Values are strong. Like on the purchase market, there's not a lot of homes out there to buy. So supply and demand is keeping values strong, right where they should be. There's still competition. I'm getting deals right now where there was 10 offers, and they either won it or they didn't win it. So the purchase market, I think, is very great. But unfortunately, I think with the whole jobs and the layoffs, then yes, that's going to impact, especially more down the road. I think that's stuff we're going to see this summer of those that lost their job or just had a little layoff for a few months, but now they need to catch up.
Yeah, I'm curious from, the small business aspect of this, the entrepreneur, the person, maybe a solopreneur, that they're in business for themselves, and all of a sudden they're going to have this window of maybe no income for a month, 2 months, who knows, 3 months, whatever. And now they want to go buy a house. And typically you're looking at what is the the tax returns for the last few years, and you're going to show a lower tax return in this year for that reason. Do you think at all? I mean, I know I'm asking you to get your crystal ball out again.
Actually,
do you think that mortgage companies will look at that and go, well, they had a lower income this year because of COVID-19, but we can see a track record? How does that work?
No.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen at all. No.
Okay.
Either you claim the income on your taxes and you pay Uncle Sam, or you don't.
Yeah.
irony of it all is that the last few years, self-employed people have had the hardest time sometimes when it comes to trying to get a loan to buy a home or refinance because they don't have enough income on their tax returns.
Okay.
Um, so, but right now, if they did claim enough income on their returns, let's just say 2017, 2018, sometimes we only need to go off of the most recent year. Okay, so any self-employed people out there, if you have been in your business and owned your business for 5 or more years, we only need to go off the most recent return, not the 2-year average, which is a rule change recently in the last
Okay. Yeah,
year or so.
that's new.
So that's a good thing. They just extended taxes being done, right? So maybe 2018 was a really great year and you claimed enough income on there. Well, now would be the time to do it before you need to file your 19, because I'm going to go off of last year's income. Unlike those people that are W-2'd who normally had the easier street, if they're laid off right now, I'm going off of a current pay stub. So them being immediately impacted is actually having a harder impact on being W-2'd versus if you're self-employed, because self-employed would be going off of 2018 or even 2019. Like, let's just say they did their taxes already this spring. It's not going off of current day. It's going off of the previous. So once again, talk to your mortgage person. In the spring, I can't tell you how many drafts of tax returns I look at for self-employed people, either to make sure that we're setting themselves up so that they can have a chance to do something next year, or, I take a look at the draft and maybe they just need to take a little less in their write-offs. But if we can catch that early and they can file appropriately so they can do their loan, that's the key, versus filing their taxes. And then I find out like, oh, hey, if you would have just taken $5,000 less in write-offs, you could do it, but you didn't. So it's for self-employed people, it's not as easy as just looking at a return and looking at a bottom number. There's a lot of different things we add in and don't add in based on their write-offs. So don't be afraid to talk to myself or your person that is going to allow you to review it, advise you. Whether you take the advice or not, that's different. But
No,
if you have a really good CPA and you have a really good mortgage person, they're going to tell you the complete opposite of what to do. So,
well, it's a good point to make, because as business owners, you're always looking at, like, I don't want to have to pay a lot of taxes.
Nobody wants to pay taxes.
So no one wants to, right? So you're trying to look at how many expenses you can show, so you have to pay less taxes. And that's all great unless you're planning to buy a home that year.
Right.
And then you pulled the rug right out from under you because you showed less income because you wrote off more things. And if you had known, like, I'm planning to buy a house this year, then you talk to a professional like April, and they'll
bite the bullet.
yeah, they're going to go, hey, look, you're better to pay the taxes now, because if you write that off, you're not going to qualify for the mortgage that you really want. So, well, awesome. I've learned a lot. I'm sure our listeners have too. And one of the things, April, that I like about you is that you've just always felt real to me. I mean, I know I know it might be a weird statement, but it's one of those things where sometimes you picture the mortgage person only in their suit and tie, behind their desk at the bank somewhere. And I've hung out with you at networking events, at a bar having a beer, or in a backyard having a cookout, or on the motorcycle, and you're just a real person, and I love that. So I'm gonna say, if you are a listener, a watcher, and you're interested in getting to know someone that's real, that's been in the business since 1999, that has seen the ups and downs, has stayed through it, and wants to build a relationship and trust with her customers, then check out April at Guaranteed Rate. So please tell us, if you would. I'd love to know, where can we get in touch with you? If someone's listening or watching today, no matter where you are in the country, how do we find you?
That is correct. Anywhere in the country. I would say they can either check out my website, which is just www.rate.com/April Ranallo. So April like the month, and my last name is RAN as in Nancy, ALLO. Or they can email me. A lot of times people will email me with a couple questions. We'll maybe start the conversation off that way, and then we'll gear them to do an online application after that point. And that is just april.ranallo@rate.com. I can tell you for those that go to the website and apply directly, there's no cost, there's no obligation. It just allows you to fill out the application in like 10, 15 minutes online, get credit so I can run numbers and send them a breakdown that we can then have a conversation. And with the market today, it's either, hey, today's a great day and let's talk about locking right away, or it's a conversation of today's a really bad day. So where does it need to be a benefit? And then that is when I add the person to a list. And when the market is in that section for the 2 hours of the day or whatever it happens to be, then I know that we're prepared. I know what they're going for, and I'm able to lock when it does become available. Lastly, my cell phone. And believe it or not, that's, once again, work from anywhere, which means you work from your cell phone. So my cell phone for questions is 847-873-7278. Yes, I got that when I went to Chicago. So feel free to give me a call there.
All right. That was 847-873-7278. Is that right?
That is right.
Awesome. I love, not everyone would just give out their cell phone like that, especially in such a large broadcast. But, I think it just tells the type of person you are. You want to work with real people, you want to help people, and you're available to them, through email, phone call, whatever. And so I appreciate that about you. And I want to say thank you for networking with AGC. I'd love to hear from you. What is it about AGC? I mean, you do a lot of networking and you're connected in the community. Why AGC for you?
For sure. Networking is a huge piece. So I met Travis obviously with BNI initially, and the different events that I did at nights, I call them the card events. I don't know if this is going to be appropriate, but the networking after work where you go, somehow I would always end up talking to nothing but mortgage people. So I would not get any networking done. Or you would meet the card flippers who would walk around and just be like, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. And it was the most, like, if I wanted to go somewhere and have a couple drinks, I'll just call one of my friends and we can go have a couple drinks. I don't need to go to a networking event that's not effective to do that. Where AGC is the best of all worlds. It's nighttime. You can go to as many or all of them if you'd like to. You are getting the same structure. You're getting structure. You're getting the same people to build the relationships with, to actually make it an effective networking piece, not I'm going to go and pretend I'm working and have a drink and get nowhere. So that's why I love it for sure.
Okay.
I myself tend to go to probably 2 or 3 a month. I don't make it to all 5, but 2 to 3, and it's really starting to like make its way. And not to mention the network of people that are also members, I've completely taken advantage of. That sounds bad, but like when you need something, you go to your network. Or I have clients who are asking for things all the time, and I want them to ask me first. I don't care if it's for windows or a house cleaner or a mortgage. Like, call me first. I'll tell you or give you suggestions on where you can go. And AGC helps me do that effectively and with quality people.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. That means the world to me. I love, and thank you for saying that. I love what we do inside AGC to help others. And, if you're not in the Minneapolis market and you're not able to do face-to-face events like all of us right this moment, the cool thing is that you can now attend AGC events anywhere. All you got to do is go to our Facebook page, search for Accelerated Global Connections public Facebook page. It is free. It is open to you. We broadcast our events in there. We have some really fun networking things inside that group for you to get connected in and participate in. So, April, we hope to see you networking in that group as well.
I was going to say, you got something fun every day. What's
today,
Friday? Yeah. My favorite's always Thankful Thursday. I'm a really
Thankful Thursday.
Yeah, Thankful Thursday. It's a good, everyone should be grateful every day for something. Yes. And if everyone stays positive, we'll get past this Corona thing. Positivity key.
Yes, yes, we will. So thank you again, April, for being a fantastic guest. And I want to
Thank you.
speak. Oh, I want to speak to our guests that are are listening today. That you're watching or you're listening to today's podcast. I want to say thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you as our audience. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And so please, if you would, if you like what you heard, if you got some value and you learned something here today, like I did, hit the subscribe button and stay with us. And every time we drop a new podcast, you're going to get a notification that's going to tell you about the one that just landed, and hopefully it'll be of interest to you. And two, if you're getting good value and you love being a subscriber, please share it. Share it with others. Help us expand the network and expand our listening and watching audience. And thanks again so much for participating.
This podcast was produced by Elation Studios. Go to www.elationstudios.co to learn more. Elation Studios. Discover your voice, clarify your vision, build your life.